This is 15. I'm Luke. I've got Dan with me. Hi, Dan. What are you up to?
How diddle a doodle? How am I doing? I'm doing good.
That's good. I've caught you in a good mood.
You have? I'm on the tail end of exhaustion.
Yeah, you've had a big stag do, haven't you?
Big stag, big week at work, big stag, big meals,
And there's only one way to finish it off, isn't there? Get on the
big
sauce.
podcast.
Oh, yes.
Get on a horse.
Sauce.
Oh,
Even bigger podcast. So this is the podcast where we watch the first 15 minutes of films, so you don't have to. We're doing all the hard work, watching all the dross in that first quarter of an hour. So when it comes to Friday, you can put on a film without the worry that it's going to be a stinker.
And if you don't like that idea, you can get our new podcast, Big Horse Sauce, where we're a bit of like a rival to Jackass. We've got a big horse called Cleopatra, and we're going to ride her around, squirting tomato ketchup on people.
If mine and Dan's snazzy orange shirts aren't enough to get you onto our YouTube page, and nothing else is. If you want to go on it, go on the link. You can watch us there. Once you're there, like and subscribe, please. And plus, there's plenty more videos up there, including a snooker video cast that me and Dan have done. A couple of episodes.
Also, Luke should say the Patreon. You can buy shirts like this. Mine's a medium slim fit. Luke's obviously a large. So sizes for all appetites, if you catch my meaning.
Dan's recurring jokes about my waistline and Patreon will be lost on everyone. Just treat them as jokes, ladies and gentlemen. Right.
Apart from your tailor.
So, last week, the Invisible Man won.
Tailor of Panama.
And we decided
how much material they had to use. Panama.
We used hype music for this episode to get everyone up into the mood, and that's the last time I'm playing Babushka by Kate Bush. Dan's a little bit too hype for this one. Okay, Dan, we watched The Invisible Man. That's what we chose. What did you think of it?
Coming crashing back down to earth with this one.
Oh, you didn't like it?
I think it was unsuccessful.
Oh,
limited.
Wow. Oh my goodness, I think we're going to disagree on this. This is fun.
Oh,
so
okay.
Go on then.
First time for this.
Set your boundaries. Why do you think that?
I thought it delivered quite some lovely tension at times, and I thought it deployed sound well, all adding, I suppose, to that tension that I sort of mentioned. But I found the screenplay to be really unsuccessful, and the direction to be a little bit uninspired. So I just feel it's not greater than the sum of its parts, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I think it was at its best when it was a little bit more laconic. Do you know what I mean? When there wasn't as much dialogue thrown at you. That definitely wasn't its strong point, but I don't think it was a detractable weakness at all. For me, this film was like one of those films that it was like a 7 out of 10 the whole way. Maybe the ending was a little bit weak, and I don't think it had the impact it wanted to have. By the way, we are going to have to do a few spoilers in this because I think we have to just do a few spoilers. Starting with the fact that the name, I think the name hurt this. Like you're trying to battle off this idea of, is she a reliable narrator? You know what I mean? Can we trust her? She's had domestic abuse. Has her psyche been destroyed? Can we trust in what she's actually seeing? But the fact that the film is called The Invisible Man, like all ships lead to Rome or whatever. You know where this is ending.
That famous port.
Yeah, I don't know what the phrase was.
All roads lead to Rome. It's alliterative. Not all ships. All ships sink.
They won't get there with that determination. So yeah, I mean, you're meant to be debating whether she's mad, aren't you, and lost, or if she's sort of sentient, and you don't actually have that quandary because you kind of know the answer.
Did you find her, Elizabeth Moss, particularly captivating?
Well, halfway through, I did a bit of Wikipedia searching and found out she's an absolutely massive Scientologist.
Yeah, she's not.
It's sort of clouded my opinion of her a little bit.
Grace wouldn't watch this with me because she's a massive Scientologist.
I'm not going that far. I already had it on. Actually, speaking of which, my viewing experience with this was pretty good. I give it the best platform, best chance yet. I put on my VR.
Yeah.
Oh. And I put that on, and so it puts
That's yours?
That's mine.
Been treating yourself?
I have.
On company expense?
That's right. It's on the expenses. It will show up on the next statement. Thanks for putting
along with big black women and XX booties. I'd say on the statement. What's that all about, Luke?
The two come hand in hand, so to speak. But no, on that
Hand
when you
in
go
glove. Curly's wife.
on my VR when you go on to Netflix,
So you can see my cement textbook people. There you are.
it puts you in this Swiss chalet, and it's like this huge screen, and then like you turn it on, all the lights come down, and you've got a massive screen, and it's very cool. So I give it the best chance possible, and it was immersive, but I
Could
don't,
be
I
in VR.
like the film. It tried to throw a few twists at you,
Yeah.
didn't it? And there was only one. There was one in particular I thought was pretty good, but the rest, like when you find it's the brother who's been shot, I worked out it was going to be the brother because I thought, okay, there's 25 minutes left. They're not going to unmask him. Who could it possibly unmask? The brother doesn't really work, but they'll make it kind of work. They didn't really.
I just didn't. It just had too many plot holes for me as well. And I know you shouldn't sort of go after films necessarily for plot holes, but for me, there was it just didn't quite work. You know, how does he know where she lived? I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess this guy's meant to be all encompassing and knows everything, but then also like the suit seemed to give him superhuman powers while he was wearing it.
no, he was just strong, and I don't mind plot
No, I
holes.
don't know if he
My big
was
thing with plot
because
holes is
wasn't.
if you're spotting them, you just know that you're not enjoying the film. But I don't think he was. Also, I don't think he
But
was
is he
superhuman.
strong?
He was a strong
Because
guy.
when did the brother suddenly become in the Invisible Man suit? So the brother was in it for the whole time, or
No,
only when he was
just
at the
the
police
house.
station?
Just
Just
the
at the
house.
house.
Yeah.
So he rang him up and said, "I need you to go to the house. Here, we've got to meet because there's only one suit. Can you put it on? Also, I'm being pursued by my crazy woman, wife, ex-girlfriend, whatever. Well, she's not crazy; she's actually totally sane. The one I've been framing. Like when? Like what? How? Like I know you're meant to be. This is what I'm saying. I think the concept of the idea is really interesting, and the moments of tension, like when he was in the house and she was cooking, and you know he was getting beaten up. You know she was got you know. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When she's in the kitchen. Sorry, that's the bit I'm trying to talk
Yes.
about. That was great, and there were some other really good moments, but you just sort of it didn't quite get there. And I think with a stronger director, this could have been a lot more thrilling.
I think you're being too harsh here.
I think you're being too generous. I didn't think it was that good at all.
Oh no, I think the use of camera work was really quite good. Like even just the invented moments of keeping a still frame. So it was really clever how it went between tripod use and handheld, which I really enjoyed. So it went for like classic handheld shaking cam to show that this voyeurism, right? And she's being watched. And then it uses these lovely sort of stationary shots, and she walks off screen and walks off camera. So the same sort of tensions there, because you're wondering like, what can we see, what can we not see, what's going to happen now, and it keeps you in the frame because the fire begins and who caused the fire. And there's obviously it's when it's those still shots, we're perceiving the invisible man's there, and so you're paying so much close detail to what's going on. Like I thought this was a creative film. Like for me,
That's
it's a 7 out of 10.
cinematography, isn't it? I think, and that's
Yeah,
your
but the
director
director
of
still
photography.
yeah,
I know, but
that.
of course they have a say in that. But I'm talking about the lead and the direction it was taken. I'm not just talking about a director isn't just responsible for what you're viewing. It's how the film is handled and how that screenplay is taken and elevated. Yeah, the screenplay is the biggest failing here for me, but a director, a great director can raise a screenplay up, can't they? Whereas what I found was a poor screenplay, an okay direction on a quite an interesting concept. Because that whole thing about being an unreliable narrator should have been the driving force. And you knew from the word go, really, that actually she wasn't mad. Like you said, I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe the title is at fault here, but that's sort of balls back down into screenplay, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. I mean, let's just get
and the big twist at the end that she was the invisible woman and killed him and got her revenge and was free of him.
Yeah, the ending was poor. The ending just did not have the impact it thought it was going to have. It had those sort of Gone Girl vibes. Do you know what I mean? Where she's kind of locked up and you have the CCTV footage. But yeah, no, the ending was poor. And it was cheesy how she walked away. And then all of a sudden to her best mate, who's a policeman, basically threatened him saying, "We good?" That was clunky as hell. But for a low budget horror film, I thought it was creative. For me, I described it as like a 7 out of 10 film all the way, apart from one bit, which I thought was genuinely 5 stars. Like
which was
the asylum, this kinetic, like dynamic camera work of in the asylum when the invisible man is there and he's taking out the policeman one by one is phenomenal. That's
that
like
was a great
Inception,
sequence,
isn't it? It's like those Inception scenes. That's amazing.
That was the other scene I was thinking of when I thought this was fantastic and got me, because she's trying to escape and he's coming after her and he's glitching in, and basically she damages the suit's integrity slightly. So he keeps phasing in and out of being invisible and and he's just taking out the cops who are trying to stop her, but then some of them are clocking on, and it was fantastic.
Oh, so good.
But then it was let down either side of it, I thought.
I don't know. I just think there was enough here to keep me engaged. Right at the moment when their sister was killed, like that was very good. I didn't see that coming at all. That was brilliant.
No, I agree.
It had enough
and this is
moments
what I
for
mean.
me.
It was up and down. There were really good moments of tension. Sound was fantastic, but then you got onto real cliched moments with the cop and his daughter. I'm going to go kill your family. It just all. I think it could have been handled. It became cliched, and it was hard working. The screenplay, I thought, but in the wrong. It was using all its efforts in the wrong way. And I do not think it's a 7 out of 10 film. This, I think it's a 5 out of 10. That's what I gave it. I don't think it's particularly scary. It's maybe like shocking, but it's not thrillery, and it's not. There wasn't a lot of tension, and she, unfortunately for me, wasn't particularly captivating. Scientology or not, she just was a bit one trick, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I bet you were relieved. Last episode, you talked about how worried you were of what happened to Zeus. What was Zeus's fate? And the dog does reappear.
Could you fucking shoehorn that in?
Are you not happy about Zeus showing up?
Had you written that down last week?
You literally made a big scene.
You must have been pleased because Zeus was still alive. The dog.
I had to try and pick up from your absolute miserableness.
Give me a better film.
I don't know.
This is fine. It's fine. But this is what I mean. I think this is where we're disagreeing in that you think this is good and I think this is fine.
Okay.
You've read this out of me. 5 out of 10 is a good score. It's a fine film. It's average. It's doing all right.
Okay,
but it's not doing enough. It's not bad. I'm not saying it's a bad film. But it's just not doing enough. It's not grabbing me by the fact that I was switching off.
Either.
Cork and walls.
No, I think anyway. Whatever. I take your point that it wasn't really scary enough, but it was more of a thriller than a straight up horror, wasn't it? Yes, like psychological thriller. You might
thrilled.
Psyche. Okay, fair enough. Right,
so we disagree. That's nice.
I give it 7.5. You know, I give it a little bump. Honestly, I think the way that scene was so good, man. And there's enough twists in there, and yeah, it has a couple of clunky moments when the reveal of the brother and the ending, but it had enough credit in the bank for me. I would recommend this film. This is fine to recommend. Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't.
Oh, will Dan recommend The Man from Toronto? Find out soon. Okay, so this week the films we're watching are
now time to talk to our sponsor.
Spiderhead,
calendars on your wall,
and The Man from Toronto. So first of all, Dan, let's get to Spiderhead. I went into this blind, knowing absolutely nothing about this film.
Have you got a calendar on your wall?
And what seems to happen is, it seems to be people that are incarcerated have been moved to this island where they're testing drug trials.
Yes, correct. Starring Chris Hemsworth, Miles Teller.
Yes, that's right.
Having a drink there,
where Chris Hemsworth is.
That'll be a note for after recording.
Chris Hemsworth would be in. I like these intriguing roles where it's these characters that play God. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's this sort of careful
like Thor. He played God in Thor.
Yeah, but it's sort of idea these people who toe that line between hubris. Do you know what I mean? I quite like them. They're quite mysterious. I mean, I don't think he massively fits it. He's done this in a few films where he tries to come across not playing a hunk. He's trying to play a nerd or an intellect, and I never buy that, Chris. We ain't buying that. But not too much narrative given away.
Like Ghostbusters, the remake.
Yeah, that's literally what I was thinking. This was more theme, wasn't it, and mood setting here. More vibes, less plot. But I was kind of here for it. I quite liked this first 15 minutes.
I enjoyed it. There was just a couple of things for me. I'm
always
not sure.
Starting on the negative, Dan.
Well, we're critics, aren't we? Critical. I'm not sure I understood its tone. Because part of it felt like a Bond film. Part of it felt like quite an interesting account on kind of this drug use and
People playing guinea pigs and stuff.
guinea pigs and what's the word, like consent, because they always have to say like acknowledge. Do you acknowledge? And each time they add a new drug, do you acknowledge that? But especially like when we got a bit further into the 15 minutes, I kind of found myself thinking, well, they're already on one drug that they've acknowledged. How do they then freely acknowledge the second one? Do you know what I mean? If you're already seeing roses and it's all amazing, then to be acknowledged that you're going to be given a speech enhancement drug, like you're already just like happy as Larry, aren't you? Of course you're going to. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of felt that interest. I thought, okay, there's something interesting here. I didn't really, but well, actually, I'm going to come back to that. But then I didn't know, is it a comedy? Is it a thriller? It just was a bit too many questions. Whereas
that's true. There's definitely a scene where,
rather than a lot of questions about one topic, it was too many different questions.
Yeah, we're seeing these varieties of trial methodologies basically, and there's this one where Miles Teller and this new, I'm about to say contestant, but inhabitant of the island, basically, resident, joins him, and it's this sort of love drug, right? And it's kind of interesting seeing how you can manipulate emotions so easily. I mean, it'd probably be a bit more interesting if they weren't both attractive people. Like everyone in this film is attractive. If they weren't that. But then when they actually get down to having like an intimate moment together, they play this comical music over the top of it. This is what you're alluding to. And they sort of fall off the chair, and she then gets back up again.
But it's quite tame sex as well.
Oh, incredibly tame. Yeah, incredibly tame sex.
This kind of
even the VR didn't help.
Yeah, I don't know. I wrote, is this a comedy? What's the tone? I'm not sure.
No, I'm not sure there either. I tell you what, though, doesn't it go to show that like a good soundtrack, a good first song can help? Was it Supertramp? What did they play at the start? I'm trying to remember what it was. Yeah, all I've got is Babushka in my head. I was trying to remember what song was. It's When I Was Young, right? By Supertramp. See, my life was so wonderful.
Wonderful. The Logical song, it's called Supertramp. But then I wrote a question later: is that covering? Like, are they getting by with music, just good songs and music? And this is kind of your question, isn't it, about Netflix and the buying power of Netflix behind films, because people can get whatever they want. So you suddenly have got this fantastic soundtrack over what could be a really interesting film, but also could be quite an annoying film. Like, I also put, one of my notes was, why is the tech so annoying? The tech all seemed to be on mobile phones, like it was an app that you could, and it just felt very like branded, which I suppose, let's go on a leap here, this island's going to become more nefarious and more kind of pernicious as we go along. And I bet at one point they get a phone and they can control things from the phone. Do you know what I mean? It's all a bit hack and a bit there. And it just seems like that's kind of a Netflix thing.
I get that. I think the power source thing's important, though, because I guess there will be a shift of power eventually, and that will happen. But I like your point on cynicism of Netflix, because I have got a point later on another Netflix original film we're going to do.
Okay.
That comes in big for me. I do question them quite a lot, actually.
Like this film is a film that a really great director could be using sound in a really different way, and really kind of stillness and quietness and noise could really affect this. But actually what we've got is Supertramp kind of and then
getting some absolute shout outs today.
Yeah, I mean, great song, but
should we talk about Miles Teller? I'm a Miles Teller fan. You are as well. Obviously, for people that know us, know we absolutely love Whiplash and him in that.
The only people who watch this.
Yeah. But I mean, he hasn't done too much. He's playing a little bit of an everyman, even though he's murdered
Miles
his
Teller.
best friend in a drunk driving incident. And I don't know if he's playing a cheeky chap. He's always slightly off kilter. I mean, to be a straight-laced guy that's always got a little bit behind the eyes. I guess most of his characters are. And he's doing that again. But I've got a lot of time for Miles Teller. He's good actor.
He didn't do anything wrong here. For me, it's more kind of, again, direction. I didn't really enjoy this kind of cutting between what was real and his like visionary state. So we go out to a bit of greenery and Miles Teller's fed a load of drugs while we then discover that he's just looking over wasteland and factory land, and just it's quite horrible. But he thinks it's a beautiful garden and it's amazing. But they intersplice this with kind of normality. I don't think it quite worked
I think they
because
were
I
just
didn't think
trying
the
to.
animation of his hallucinations was psychedelic enough.
No, I agree. I think they were trying to hold the scene. Like that's something I definitely noticed as well. Is you'll notice it's very sensitive, jittery editing here, but not for any reason. Just from
Right.
maybe a lack of confidence and stuff. It's just switching a little bit too much, just too much that your eye notices it and goes, "Oh, this is just a little bit uncomfortable here." Just
Yeah.
hold the scene, storyboard a scene, have a bit more confidence in what you're shooting, and yeah, it felt a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a nice
Nervy.
phrase. Unconfident. Yeah, nervy. It didn't. This is what I mean. It's a bit. We've come out of the gun. Out the stocks or whatever they call it in horse racing. We're out there, and it's a bit jittery. It's a bit. What's the tone? Are we trying to be funny? Are we trying to be? Like I found that in the very opening, we see it. We're dead still on a guy, and he's being asked questions, and he's fucking laughing his head off.
Yeah.
And then he starts, what's a ghost's favorite fruit? A booberry. And he starts absolutely howling with laughter. And it's not funny. And then you've killed 6 people and he's still howling. And that was scarier or the most interesting part rather than jumping around and trying to,
That was a nice start, though. Like, I mean, he's definitely something you want in your audience, wouldn't you? If you're a comedian, like we have the goal to call ourselves comedy charlatans because our first season was wildly different from our second, and we haven't been bothered to change the bio. But like, we'd like him, like as a viewer.
Yeah.
But like I said, for me, this film comes down to the fact it hasn't quite played all its cards yet. It hasn't shown too much. We don't exactly know where it's going, and that has left me a bit intrigued. This is a fine start. This is
nothing
start.
wrong.
It hasn't blown its chances. Okay. Should we get on to the second one then?
Yes.
So the second one, this is Burnt. This is from 2015. This is a Bradley Cooper sort of tour de force meant to be sort of performance. Everything on his shoulders as he plays this mercurial chef talent.
Chef, sorry.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of something that carries something on their shoulders all the time. Apparently I went for juggler.
He's meant to be a bad boy chef who's now back on the scene after sort of a self-imposed exile, shucking.
How many oysters did he shuck?
So he did a million oysters.
Could shuck oysters.
He did a million oysters in 3 years. So he did
the mathematicians amongst you?
Did about 1,000-ish a day.
A day?
Yeah. Yeah, because 1,000 by 1,000 is 1,000,000, isn't it? So about 1,000 a day-ish. A lot of oysters anyway. And he wasn't wearing a correct
gloves, which the man in Toronto was.
Yes. Okay, so I think Cooper brought this nice brooding intensity. For me, the chef films, like, they are aesthetic, aren't they, Dan? Like, we know we like chef films.
All I'm going to say is any chef film that comes on my plate, very much pun intended, has got a big meal to knock off. And that is, of course, Ratatouille.
Yeah, one of Dan's favourite films is Ratatouille, and he does compare it all to that. But this is a different kind of chef film, isn't it?
I thought the chef's critic in this film was good.
Oh,
Not as good as Anton Ego, in many ways. Life of critic is easy. But pretty good.
Okay, sticking a little bit more with this film, though, it is a little bit... there's enough there to keep you interested, but the script... Now, this screenplay is very ponderous, formulaic, uninteresting. That is its weakness so far, and you doubt it's going to get better. If the first 50 minutes of the screenplay is bad, it's not going to get any better.
It did that classic thing that Luke and I hate, which is, oh my God, it's so good to see you again. I haven't seen you since you walked out on me at my brother's restaurant. Remember when you put the rats down and I lost and then called the health? Like, you no familiarity.
Yeah, and you remember me from Jean-Luc's restaurant. Do you remember that one?
Jean-Luc, who is now dead.
And you wanted revenge. It is unironic exposition. Yes. It's poor. Yeah, very much so.
But clearly we're seeing a kind of rogues gallery being formed around Bradley Cooper's character. And they're going to take over a restaurant. And again, a little bit about hubris, perhaps. We've already been told he's failed once. Are we going to see that again? His failure first time was to vices like drugs, alcohol, we're told, and women. This time he's going straight. So perhaps actually we're just
it was women.
Yeah. But perhaps this time his failure, if it is going to be that, is going to be actually himself, and that all along his hubris has been his problem. I like the beat of this film. I thought it
Yeah,
had, and it's something that chef films seem to do a lot, is that there's a kind of lyricism to them, and a rhythm that you would surprise you.
Dan,
But
I've
yeah,
written exactly the same thing down. Now I went a slightly different angle. I put basically it's easy to do. I think chef films, in terms of editing and music, it just falls into your lap. Do you know what I mean? You've got these
okay.
intense edit points in a kitchen. You've got these
Sounds, I
sounds going
suppose.
on, and it's very easy to edit across. And with the music, so I mean, it was good, but I don't give it that much credit because I think it
Yeah,
should
no,
be
it
good.
was with something we've seen before.
But it's definitely aesthetic. My thing with this film is it's all literally going to be in Bradley Cooper. And like what you
Yeah,
talked before about will he be his own demise, the characters are sort of leading us that way. Like there's a few comments saying you're not arrogant enough to be a chef, and
yeah.
another comment something to do with we're in a kitchen now and this is how you behave. Like they're sort of trying to show you that Bradley Cooper is going to go back into this world and go back into
Well,
this
but
narcissism.
then this is another issue I sort of wrote is we're being told once again that somebody's good,
Mm.
like rather than being shown. And I think maybe it's a British thing, but as a viewer here, I really resent being told what to think. I'd like to be shown and make an opinion on that. So we're told Bradley Cooper, and even by his own narration, I was good. I was too good. I fled Paris and went to New Orleans. And it's all a bit. You're not arrogant. This lamb's good, but not arrogant enough to be a chef. Try putting some sage, and I can speak your language. It's all a
This is a
bit
Morgan Freeman film.
Morgan Freeman, $1 million baby. Um, show me.
Hmm.
I'd rather rather than him shucking oysters, I'd rather see him at his height. I don't know. Maybe but I'd rather be shown than told.
I do think you forget something that this is our world, this aesthetic, you know what I mean? And I think a
Yeah.
little bit of that was for the layman, like the Michelin star. Well, two doesn't sound very much, and they do have to explain that, and he explains it in the role of like someone that adores him to his naive girlfriend. And I know it's a little bit,
Yeah.
forced, but I understand why some of that stuff's done. But yeah, that's
What
pretty much all I had.
What did
Really.
you think of Bradley Cooper's performance early doors?
I'm a Cooper fan. I
Yeah,
am. I think he's I think he's a terrific actor, to be honest. And
I agree.
I don't think he's doing that much here. I think it's pretty meat and drink for him, so to speak. Pardon pun. Again, there'll be so many puns, won't there?
Yeah.
But I have confidence that he can hold this film. Definitely can hold the weight of this film. I mean,
I
I just hope they give his character depth.
Yeah.
Because I think he'll try and find that, but I just hope there's a few extra layers to him.
I just feel this early on, the arrogance he's displaying isn't remarkable.
Oh,
And
right.
I've actually written the note, J.K. Simmons' arrogance greater than Bradley Cooper arrogance, because I actually do think Whiplash, you can kind of see these two characters, both who are incredibly talented, but who are very top of their game and dicks about it. Like, good job, you've got to be tough. And to be good, you've got to be tough. And this world is tough, so toughen up. And I'm not sure he's succeeded for me yet in creating that. He's coming across more as a cheeky, chappy twat.
Yeah, I
but
like
maybe that's deliberate.
I like
I
what
don't
you've
know.
done there. Look at the way those two films, just those two characters there. Bradley Cooper, we're told this guy is, a savant in the kitchen.
Yeah.
In Whiplash, you have a room full of students, and it's their looks and their silence that tell us J.K. Simmons' command. Do you know what I mean? How he holds court without saying a single word.
Yeah.
Oh, God, should we just watch Whiplash again? It's a bloody good film, isn't it?
It bloody is.
It's bloody good. Right, okay, that's all I had to say on this. For
Yeah.
me, Spiderhead and this are going to be pretty close. It's,
Oh,
it's
ace in the
close.
pack, though.
Okay, here it comes. So this is The Man from Toronto. This is the new Netflix original film with Kevin Hart, action comedy, and Woody Harrelson. Kevin Hart's taking his wife on a birthday, and it seems to be a bit of a mix-up with an assassin.
That's unfortunate. We
Yes.
thought we were talking about the man from Toronto.
So first of all, we have to stress we are not at all
Kevin Hart
fans.
is called Teddy.
Yeah, teddy bear. Yeah, it's surely to do with the bear story from the assassin. I assume, so it's going to come up. But like he's someone who's this sort
Oh,
of
I hadn't even
he's,
clocked that. That's
he's
so shocking.
entertainment but not stand up. He's a frustrating guy for me. And the first part of this film, we have these little home videos of him doing exercise content, and we literally said he's pulling on some sort of elastic band. And I went, if this hits him in the face, we turn this off. And that was the first thing they wrote for this film. Is it whacked him in the face? Apparently hilarity. But that whole
Do you
sequence for
reckon?
me
Do you
is
reckon
just
this whole
for
thing came from him working out with The Rock, and The Rock going, "Oh, that's funny, man. You should put that in a film."
yeah, probably. What happened to Locke's voice?
He's Morgan Freeman again.
But for me, those are like bits like if this was in the cinema, you know, how all the absolute cretins are buying their popcorn and sitting down, and the film started with these laughing things. That's exactly what this would be. But now it's on Netflix. There's no excuse.
Yeah.
These are horrible moments.
Now, high sophisticated non-cretins like ourselves can view it.
Yeah, I don't know. Should we get onto the Netflix cynicism? Right. So
Yeah.
for me, Netflix is such a monolith. Do you know what I mean? I think it has the power to really sort of change, like have a big seismic impact on the way the movie calendar is. Yeah. But
Okay.
it hasn't. All it does is it fits into the Oscar schedule of bringing the good films out between like October and February, right? Probably even a little bit later on, November and Feb, something like that. But it has the power if it really
I
wanted
wouldn't say
to.
that. I'd say something between like September and December.
But it has the power if it wants to move those films that we're going to put in consideration there and bring them out now, right?
Mhm.
And it could take over the landscape. It can make all the stream sites copy them, and we can have great films year round. But no. It chooses to make crap films. And my conspiracy theory here is, I reckon Toronto has a low viewership for Netflix subscribership, and that's why they chose Toronto.
Okay.
I reckon this film is it's got so many minds in it, like it's a camel. Do you know what I mean? It's not a horse, and so many people are just
Oh,
obsessed.
mines, not mines.
Minds on it, and it just said, "Oh,
Camel,
let's,
not a horse.
let's pick Toronto because
Saudi
no one actually
Arabia.
listens for us there, and then we'll have
I
at
would
least
like mines.
the residents of Toronto would watch it anyway. Maybe I'm just tinfoil hat territory, but
Okay.
that's my one.
So up next year's will be The Man from Barnoldswick.
Yeah. After I've stopped my subscription, don't you get annoyed by people trying to emulate Tarantino? The assassin, Woody Harrelson's entrance and going into the cabin is such a rip-off of Inglourious Bastards and Christoph Waltz's opening scene.
Yeah, yeah.
Horrible.
Just,
Horrible. Should we talk about
very
some?
poor.
Is there anything good here? Because I've basically just picked up on stuff I had dislike instead of
I
overall
just
thoughts.
my overall. Well, actually, let me go through your list because I've only got one note. And it's quite an overarching note. So let's go through your list.
I feel like I've seen this film before, maybe
Yes.
4 or 5 times. You know
Yes.
what I mean? It's sometimes
With better actors and
Yes.
performers than Kevin Hart. I think Woody Harrelson is good.
Oh yeah, he's a
and
good actor.
As a character actor, he's going to hold his own, isn't he? You know, that's something.
He'll have to go. It's some going down to hold your own against Kevin Hart. I just don't know if he's got it. You know.
But just the moves here are so clunky,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and there's just no realism, and there's just no. You know, they're in the bed. It's morning, baby. Oh, it's your birthday. Time for baby making. Like, call a spade if you're going to want to. Do you know what I mean? But then it's, oh, look, I've bought you these presents, and oh, but the toner doesn't work. I can hardly read this. Like your first thought when you've been off. Yeah, your first thought when you've been given a chalet weekend isn't, oh, I can hardly read what this says. Like, it's joy, it's happiness. You're with your husband, you love him, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's this idea of trying to mix. They're trying to have the cake and eat it. They're trying to mix this sort of tension and humor, right? And if you're human, your light relief is Kevin Hart, who's just honestly at this stage, he's painfully unfunny for me, and it just dilutes any sort of tension. And Woody Harrelson have to act his socks off to bring this back because he's got everything against him. He's got the script against him. He's got his fellow actors against him. He's got the score against him. Like, he's such an uphill battle for me. Like, there was one moment that was actually relatively funny because miscommunication is funny, and he shows up meant to be the assassin at this cabin, and he has this. He's obviously incredibly confident because he believes he knows where he is, and he has this box of tricks and so on.
And one of them's a knife, so hence the guy who's in the cabin thinks he's the assassin, right? That's step one.
Yeah, but obviously he's wanting this sort of romantic weekend with his wife, so he's pulling out whipped cream and dildos and lube, and that stuff is kind of funny, but it's only funny because Kevin Hart's nowhere to be seen. He's off screen. Mind you,
what's actually not funny is he's having a wee, pissing in the things. You can hear the wee. Oh, don't mind me and my big wee. I drink like a horse. Yeehaw! And the guy's looking, but it's not him. It's the guy looking at the dildo and the whipped cream thinking, what the fuck is this assassin?
Mhm.
Like, that's a joke on its own, independent. There's no delivery. It's funny.
And like I say, with Spiderhead, where you can't really see the moves come in this, they are so blatant. We're setting him up as this man who's trying to do right and he's trying to follow his passion, but he's just not quite successful. He's not successful because he's an idiot, but that's not picked up. It's, oh, you need a bit more grit. You need a bit more grit. You need a bit closer, which means, oh, he's got to mix up with an assassin and he's got to get some of the good qualities of an assassin, whatever the hell they are, and he's going to bring it back and he's going to do boxercise, which apparently he's invented, even though it was invented 10 years ago.
I put, why should I have sympathy for an idiot? And that's my only note, because like, why do I feel sympathy and sorrow for this guy when he's told he's been fired from the gym for coming up with shit ideas rather than actually doing the job he's being paid for? Like, you forgot to put the address and you forgot to put the phone number on my leaflet. Well, of course you're going to get fired. You're an idiot.
Exactly.
Like, there's no, why do I care? Like,
I know if I start watching this film, I will vehemently support the baddie.
yeah.
Like, I will really support Woody Harrelson. I want him to skin.
Imagine if Woody
Kevin
Harrelson
Hart.
bangs his wife, turns up at the other cabin.
He also brings the whipped cream.
Face off. It's just face off.
Okay, I've probably said enough on that.
Do
Okay,
you
I
reckon
could
Face
go on.
Off 2 is called Face On?
Very good. Very good. Missed a chance there.
Frick.
Okay,
So it's a 50-50 split.
well, oh yeah,
Sorry, did I throw you there?
well, I don't know. What would you prefer out of Spiderhead and Burnt? Would you? Oh, I'd actually
Yeah.
prefer Spiderhead.
Oh, flip a coin. Ding.
That's
Well, it was me. Sit down.
Why do you want Burnt? Go on, give me a little pitch.
I want to see if Bradley Cooper makes something of this character. And I want to see if this film delivers where so many chef films of recent viewership by us haven't. We watched Boiling Point.
Boiling Point. Enough said.
Enough said. Enough. N-U-F-F. Got it, guys. Yeah, so that's why I'm more intrigued in how that character's going to hold up. And this rogue gallery that he's kind of creating, are we going to see more of that? Or are they just going to be, props to him? And Sienna Miller's really hot.
The only thing I would say is we know where Burnt's going to go. Do you know what I mean? We know what it's going to do. We know how it's going to end. We've seen it before. Spiderhead, I've no idea what's going to happen. It's going to be intriguing. It's a new big film on Netflix.
I've seen
Come on.
Peter Bradshaw's tagline.
Go on.
Review.
What, is it not good?
Spider dead in the water.
He didn't say that.
He didn't.
He's not one for witticisms. Come on, let's do Spiderhead.
That's the sound of Peter Bradshaw switching off.
If you really want to do Spiderhead, we'll be Burnt, but I'm really pushing for it. It will be better. It will be.
Will it?
Yeah, come on. Should we
I
do
think
it?
someone's head explodes at some point in Spiderhead.
Right, that's it for me. Let's do Spiderhead.
If it does, I want you to buy me a bottle of champagne.
Perfect. It's sorted. Right, thanks everyone. We'll see you next time.
See you next time on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?